It would be really cool if we did. All right. So, and the thing that I found really interesting, and I knew was going to cause a little bit of a wrinkle, was when he was asked if he knew Steve Rogers,
Right.
and he was like, "No, but I modeled myself off of him, and he feels like a brother." And I,
Yeah.
even before they switched to Bucky and Sam, you're going,
Right. But I was expecting that
yeah,
look on their face, like, no, just no.
yep. So, yeah, yeah. So that was also, and that also felt a little deceptive to me. I don't know how else to put it. It gave me a bad feeling about him, just the way he answered that.
Right. Just a little on the slimy side.
Yep, just a little bit, just a touch. So, and then we switch over to Bucky and Sam to see their reactions. Guess what? They don't like it. No
Can you
surprise.
blame them?
No surprise there.
Right.
And then we switch back over to Sam walking with Torres, who I still think is going to end up being,
I
uh,
hope so.
yeah. So, and Bucky comes in. So apparently Bucky tracked down Sam, and it immediately just starts browbeating Sam with, "You shouldn't have given up the shield. How could you do that? Blah blah blah."
I highly doubt that he actually had to like track him down. They
Right.
probably know where they both are all the time.
Almost certainly, almost certainly. And what's really cool to me is we see, I think, kind of a continuation of Bucky's kind of browbeating Sam about this whole thing, and Sam's just going, I can't deal with this right now. He's really not on it much. Sam's on his way to a mission. Bucky wants to fix this whole Captain America thing, and
The
and
quick
Sam's
way.
the quick way, and Sam's just like going, "Look, I got to go deal with these flag smashers," and so and we got to see if they're one of the big three.
Oh, I love the big three.
It's so
This
good,
whole thing, the big three thing, and the fact that they use it twice
right?
and not from the same source.
Right, which is even better. Androids, aliens, or wizards are the big three, and and then they have a little back and forth. Which I gotta tell you, I'm appreciating the humor in this. There's a little bit more than I would have
Yeah.
expected, but still maintaining a serious tone throughout the whole thing.
Right.
Um,
Doctor
but
Strange.
Doctor
He's a
Strange,
sorcerer.
a sorcerer, is just a wizard without a hat,
Yeah, I can't argue.
and I'm thinking about it, going,
Yeah,
huh?
he's right.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and and so he goes, "What about Gandalf? Or why are you going after Gandalf?" And Sam's going, "How do you know about Gandalf?" He goes, "I read The Hobbit back in 1937
When it
when it came
released.
out." Now, here's just a tiny, tiny, tiny touch. 1937 was the release date of The Hobbit in Europe. It didn't come out in the United States till 1938.
Oh, ouch. Okay.
So, but it makes sense.
Well, no, he would have been in the States.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
he
if it's
still would.
37,
Yeah, he would have
he
been
would have still
trained
been in the
at
States.
best.
Yeah,
Training, right? At
you're
best.
right.
Yeah, you're right.
So
Okay.
they missed that, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's
I'll
just
allow
it
it.
was a stupid little tiny thing. Stupid little tiny thing. Um. Okay. So Bucky's like, "I'm coming with you." Sam's like, "No, you're not," and Bucky does.
I get a little bit of a slightly older brother feel from him
Yes.
pushing on Sam.
Yeah, which makes sense
Yeah,
given
absolutely.
given Bucky's age for one thing, and also look, how can Sam not kind of look up to Bucky in a similar vein?
Right.
Because back, before the Winter Soldier days, it was Captain America and Bucky.
Well, and he like before Captain America, he was like the big brother for
Yeah, for Steve.
yeah, for
Yeah,
Steve.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Always coming to his protection and everything. So okay, so they're in the plane and they get to Munich, which is where the Flag Smashers are supposed to be. And Sam leaps out of the airplane because he has wings. And Bucky's like, "Where's the parachute?" And Torres is like, "There's no chute." He goes, "We're only 200 feet off the ground."
And he wasn't, and we weren't planning to jump.
Yeah, and so Bucky tears off his sleeve for his adamantium arm, or vibranium arm, and I'm not sure why, because does the coat restrict the movement that much?
Maybe, but that's for show.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, that's just, hey, look, I have my arm.
Right.
And hey, if you had an arm like that, wouldn't you be like showing it off all the time?
Of course.
Yeah.
And so he jumps out the plane like he knows he's gonna hate it, and he does.
He's not Steve.
Right.
Steve did it with a shield.
He doesn't land with a superhero landing. He lands with a dead person landing.
That would hurt so much.
Flat on his back, just going, ugh. And Falcon comes in.
I got all that recorded.
Yes, yep. We have that all on camera, right? I hate you. So
every moment that they can poke at each other, it's good. It's good.
And so they meet up and they start. They basically say, okay, fine, we got to do this mission. Cool. Red Wing is doing recon, and I got to tell you, man, the improvements they've made to the Red Wing character, and I'm calling it a character at this point, is so much fun to watch. Just the stupid little scene, like when Bucky is in the warehouse and they're looking for everybody, and Red Wing is like flying and like hovers right around his head, and Bucky takes a swing at him, just as if he's just a pest. It was just awesome. It's a nice little touch. So clearly, Bucky wants to rush in and take out the two people that he sees. And
you think he's dying for a little action?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he might be chomping at the bit for a little bit.
Just a touch?
Yep. So Sam says, wait. Bucky said, look, there's two people. I've got a vibranium arm. I can take them. And Sam goes, hold on. And Red Wing shows, no, there are 7 people. Oh, and let's watch them a little bit. Oh, yeah, they're all super strong. They're all enhanced. It's like, oh, boy. Okay. So, and I love this part. There, Red Wing does his infrared, whatever view he's using, heat sensing view, and sees that they have a quote-unquote hostage in the trailer of an 18-wheeler that they're hijacking.
Right. All right. I thought it was because we get that next shot, right?
Right.
Bucky on the back of it. So, but here's the weird part. They get in there. He uses the front of their truck, of one of the bad guys' trucks, to jump on the back of the other truck.
Yeah.
How did the guy in the truck did not see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't like that part. But then he gets in and he sees the girl, and I thought, like, first things first, I didn't think it was a hostage. I thought it was just a stowaway.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, fair
she's
enough.
Just hiding behind the crates.
Yep.
She just kind of walks out behind the crates, but then she gets that smile, and I'm like, oh crap.
Oh no, right? So what's funny? You mentioned hopping on the front of the truck and getting to the back of the truck. Maybe there was no reaction because they knew what was in the truck.
That's true, but like, there would be, even if you know that there's something in the truck, somebody just jumped on the front of your truck and on the back of the one you're following. There's got to be a reaction.
Well, at least on film, right? Because they didn't show any reaction.
There was no swerve, because you could still see a little bit of the back truck. There was no swerve or anything. There's nothing. So that kind of threw me off a little.
Well, it even could have been if they had just thrown it to the driver, who just said something like "heads up,"
right?
Yeah, just to let her know that he was coming. Yeah, so they get inside, and he's like, oh, there's this girl here that we need to rescue. And then she has a smile on her face, and you're going, oh, no, this is not good. And the hostage, we find out later, happens to be Carly, and we'll talk about her in a little bit. So clearly, the Flag Smashers are hijacking these trailers. They appear to have vaccines and supplies sent by the GRC, who we learn is the Global Repatriation Council, who's responsible for trying to help the the people who come back from the blip kind of reintegrate into society.
Right.
So
But we also don't know if those are actually going to the proper locations and to proper people. And
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So let's see. So, yeah, because I ended up scrolling down through my notes. So they have those vaccines, and then all of a sudden a fight on the trucks, on top of the trucks, ensues, because that's what you do in a movie / action TV show. Um, and Bucky and Sam are kind of holding their own, but they're getting bested.
Well,
And
they're going against 8 super soldiers basically.
exactly. Now they do have training on their side versus the super soldiers, but well, as far as we know, anyway. But they're in trouble, and helicopter comes in, and Captain America and Lamar jump on the trucks and start helping.
Yeah, which they actually do a fairly decent job at, and you get that one shot of that I don't remember. Did the shield go past Bucky's face and he kind of just move back to let it pass, or did he catch it and throw it back?
He caught it. He
Okay.
caught it, and so yeah, and so we when he catches it, he grabs it, and for like a split second, just a split second, you could see that look on his face, going, "I don't know if I'm going to give this up right now."
Right,
Just
but when he throws it back, it is a smooth move. Like the
it
entire
is.
thing is very smoothly done. Like he's done this so many times, and it just kind of reflect on, like the look on his face was, this is just a reflex, throwing it right back to Cap, and
Yes.
it's like, okay, this is they're building it up nicely.
Yeah, they really are. So it was really well done. We find out Lamar is, when they finally do a little bit of introductions in the middle of this thing, and because I think it was Bucky that said, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Lamar Hoskins, Battlestar." Like,
That's it. Let me off this.
yeah, yeah, and so he goes, I'm Cap's partner." It's like, oh, come on, man. Now, Battlestar is Lamar Hoskins in the comics.
Right.
Lamar Hoskins ends up becoming Bucky when it's later on. It's just later on during the U.S. Agent Captain America saga, that whole thing. So hopefully they won't go down the Bucky road. I'd prefer they just leave him as Battlestar at this point.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. But that whole fight scene I thought was awesome. Another kind of movie quality
Yeah.
fight scene on top of these trucks.
Well, especially with the whole hanging off the side of the truck and getting rescued by Sam,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
was a nice little roll, get off me.
yeah. It really was. But before that, we see Battlestar on top of the truck in trouble. And he says, "John, where you at, man?" And to Cap, and Walker pulls out a gun.
Yep. Did
And
he pop the guy in the knee or something?
I think he went to shoot the guy, but I think he got him in the shoulder because he got hit, as he
Okay.
was shooting. But that was one of the places in here that made me also think was a very short but deliberate differentiator. Because while Cap did use a gun in World War II, because they showed scenes
Right.
of him doing that, once he was unfrozen and brought to the current world, he didn't. He would not use a gun. And so I think there's a little. It's just a little nod as to how Walker is different from Steve Rogers.
Well, okay, but Walker is U.S. military. He is trained for combat.
So was Steve Rogers.
Uh, To a certain degree.
He went through basic and everything,
Yes, he went through basic.
and he
Walker
went
is
and
actually like a combat
well,
vet.
but Steve
So
Rogers was a combat vet with the Howling Commandos.
no, but I'm talking. I don't. That's fine. He is. I'm talking. He's a modern soldier, basically taught to use whatever he can. He's got a
Sure,
gun. He
sure,
knows how to use it. He's gonna put it to use. I don't really have a problem with him using the gun, but I'm on the same page with you. It's a difference between him and actually Cap.
yes,
Cap wouldn't do it, and Bucky does take a dig on him, like he wouldn't need a gun.
right, right, yeah. So that's cool. And then we switch over to, yeah, as you said, Bucky stuck under the truck, trying to slow it down by digging into the pavement, and
Doesn't work.
it didn't work. And Sam basically, in this remarkable swooping move, swoops under the truck from flight, grabs him, and they roll into a field.
Oh,
And
it's such a nice moment.
yeah, and and Bucky just like, get off me. Um, and you know, you have the realization that all the Flag Smashers are all super soldiers. Um, they're laying in the field. We switch back to Battlestar and John Walker. Battlestar gets kicked off the truck, and John, in a very Captain America move, throws the shield under Battlestar so he doesn't hit the pavement and slides along the pavement with the shield.
It was nicely done.
It was a very Captain America move. And very adept with the shield. That was
Yeah.
the other thing that struck me. And this all makes me think that, one, they've been prepping John Walker to be Captain America for a while, right? And they must have had another shield to practice with.
Well, we also don't have a timeline on how long it was before Sam gives the shield to the Smithsonian, and to how long till they announce Walker's Captain America after that.
That felt
The
like a
episode,
week. It felt like a
right?
week.
The episode makes it feel like a week. It could have been a couple of months, but yes, there's more. There's likely
I think they would have
stuff
said
for them to
that.
practice. Yeah.
I really do think they would have said that if it was a longer
Yeah.
time.
On the timeline stuff, though, the previous episode when he's at the bank and saying, it's been 6 months, it does put it into the timeline that this is after after WandaVision, but it's still before Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yes. Yes.
So it's nice. The timeline is completely weird because they're technically in 2023,
Right.
but it is nice to actually be able to put it somewhere, um, because the tech stuff, like Sam in the first episode working on Red Wing, the
Yeah.
who's the next Iron Man? Well, Spider-Man is the next Iron Man, but that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Right.
That realization and him coming into his own and taking over, the whole glasses thing and taking over the system has not happened yet.
Right. That's true. The other thing about that is, see, I really want them. I'd love for them to make a reference somehow in a natural way to what's going on with Wanda. I don't know how you do that,
Right.
but I'd love to just see a nod to acknowledge the other stuff that's happening.
They might
But
not know about it. It might have been kept completely closed off.
maybe, but news travels. I
Sure.
don't know.
Especially superpower news.
Right.
Do you think they
So
have a newsletter?
yeah, yep. It's gonna be. It's called this week in Shield. Is
Oh,
their
God.
newsletter?
That's a terrible name.
Yep, it
It'll
really
never
is.
work.
Nope. All right. So Battlestar gets kicked off the truck, saved by John from throwing the shield. John gets thrown off the truck. Flag Smashers get away. And this next scene I love so much. Sam and Bucky on the road, walking down, kind of arguing, and then John Walker and Battlestar drive up. Hey, get in the truck. Nope. And they just keep going. They would rather
It's
sit and
35
argue by
miles.
themselves.
Yeah.
It's 20 miles to the airport. Get in the truck. They finally do, and that's when John Walker gives his call back to the big three: aliens, androids, and
Right.
wizards.
Well,
It's
but
like,
so one of them gets taken out and he replaces it with something else?
no, he just swapped the he's oh no so and so what happens is he says the big three. He changed the order of aliens and androids. Sam had said
Okay.
androids, aliens, and wizards. Walker says aliens, androids, and wizards. And then I think Sam says, but these guys are super soldiers.
Right.
Yeah. So while it's not a big three, it's pretty important.
Yeah.
So
But this is also where we get like, who are you? I'm Battlestar, and Bucky's like, that's it. Let me off this truck.
yeah, right. So and then they find out. So you got called into this too, and it's like, no, we tracked you, or no,
Hmm.
you were tracking the Flag Smashers too. And they said no, we were actually tracking you because they tracked Red Wing. They hacked Red Wing because it's government tech.
Right. So this is a nice one. Uh, a lot of times MCU comics puts the military is just the bad guys,
Right.
and I think they're heading in that direction with the show here as well.
Well, and they've always done that, right? Even in the movies. I mean, Thunderbolt Ross is not a good
Sure,
guy.
but it wasn't like to a major degree. It was like
Oh, agreed.
overall the military's fine. Here's like Ross is a bad guy, but we'll deal with him later.
Right.
But I think as an overall figure, they're kind of setting them up like no, they're not really on your side. They took the shield away, gave it to some new guy. They're tracking they're tracking their movements, things like that. So I think it's a little more in the let's put them as one of the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. So yeah, so they're talking back and forth, and we finally get to know what GRC stands for, which was the Global Repatriation Council. And Walker's like, look, he finally has a talk with Sam, and says, look, I'm not trying to replace Steve, but it'd be a lot easier having Cap's wingman on my side. And
Ooh,
and Sam's like going, until the last line,
yeah,
it's always the last line.
it's always the last line.
So
Because I think
yeah,
he kind of had him, like, right, he
yes,
he would help. Sam
sort
would
of,
totally help.
yeah, because look, I think Sam at the core just wants to make sure it's being held by the right guy,
Right, but
and
he's also military.
right, and he wants to trust this guy, but needs a reason to.
Yeah,
Bucky is
and
never
just
going
kind
to
of like,
trust him,
yeah,
so
that last line just kind of blew it up a little.
yeah, and it was too on the nose. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, come on. So then we switch back to Carly and the Flag Smashers, going back to what I thought was the headquarters, but it's not. It's a safe house, basically, and that's when we get to know that there's a lot of public support for them, and it felt very red state-ish to me. It very much a it doesn't matter what the mainstream is doing. We need to worry about us.
Well, it's
Type.
also, yeah, kind of like that. But there's also, like, again, we don't know if those supplies are going to the people that actually need them. So they might be getting their public support, not public, but local support, because they're providing these supplies to people that need it, instead of where the council says that it goes.
Exactly. So they get to the safe house, and they open a door. There's a room in there with a bunch of beds, which appears to please them quite a bit, and a computer. And there were post bills on the door that I had to look at. I freeze frame and saw there was one that was there that just was in German, said "Wir kaufen alte Autos," which just means we buy all cars.
No,
so so it meant nothing.
it's nice. We can sell cars.
Yeah. And so there were a bunch of others I couldn't make out. But then Carly gets a text on her phone that just says, "You took what was mine. I'm going to find you and kill you."
Right. And I'm, fairly certain that's gonna be Power Broker.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, because they make reference to Power Broker openly in this one.
Right.
So a little bit later, but they do. So so Flag Smasher computer dude gets on a computer and notices that folks are already looking for them, and he's wiping their aliases because if you freeze frame on the computer, while it doesn't show you the names, the alias names, it shows you all the ID numbers that they had, and they all said compromised next to them.
Ah.
So he's wiping it all out, and we see a close up of an Interpol notice, case ID 109.122, which I didn't look up because I didn't have time. But we see finally Carly Morgenthau's full name, which is Carly Morgenthau, wanted, armed, and dangerous, last sighted near Munich. Now, in the comics, Carly was Carl, and Flag Smasher was an individual.
Okay.
And that individual also has ties to the power broker, much like Carly here. People complain sometimes about the gender twist of different characters and whatnot. This character isn't established in the MCU. I don't care.
Right.
And frankly, the Flag Smashers as a group is, I think it's a better idea.
Yeah.
So so that's cool. I'm writing down names as I hear them. So there's a guy named Lennox in their group. Again, more references to the GRC caring more about the people that came back than the people that were left behind. We hear their slogan, "One World, One People," which is creepy when they say it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Especially when they start chanting it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what's funny is when they started chanting it, they did the call and response thing. I kept thinking football movies.
Oh God. Let's go defense.
Yeah. Um. So. Uh. So we get back to Bucky and Sam in the air transport. Bucky says we got to take the shield, and Sam is like, "We can't. Remember the last time we stole it?" Which is a callback to Civil War. He was like, we were on the run for a couple of years, and they make reference to Sharon because Sharon got in trouble for that as well.
I was expecting to see her in this episode, but I guess she's coming in on the next one.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't looked to see what's coming up next, but yeah, we know she's coming in.
Yeah, we know that she's in the show.
Yep. So they talk about getting beat up by super soldiers, and they end up with nothing. And then Bucky is like, "Yeah, you know what? There's someone you should meet." And we go to Baltimore, and it's like,
I love this. This was so well done.
It really was. So they're walking down the street, and one of the kids on the street is like going, "Hey, you're Black Falcon."
It's Black Falcon.
And Sam's going, "No, it's just Falcon." He goes, "Is it because I'm black and the Falcon?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes,
Yeah,
"So..."
My dad calls you Black Falcon.
Yeah, my dad calls you Black Falcon. He goes, "So are you Black Kid?" And the kids,
okay, that makes sense.
yeah, the kid's friend is all laughing, and he goes, I got him. Okay, so they move on, and they go up to this house, and looking for someone named Isaiah. Now, there's a kid at the door who answers the door and said, "There's nobody by Isaiah here." Here is one of the Easter eggs. That kid, his name is Eli. It's Isaiah Bradley that they're looking for. I said Isaiah Washington in the last episode, but it's Isaiah Bradley.
Okay.
Isaiah Bradley, we'll come to find out, was the Black Captain America. And it was something that happened after Steve was lost and after Bucky was lost. And they were doing experiments on black men with the super soldier serum that they had left.
Okay.
And almost everybody, like I think there were 30 men that were tested. Almost everybody died. Isaiah and a couple of other guys did not. And Isaiah became the Black Captain America. But then they kept him in jail so they could continue to do experiments on him. And he stayed in jail for like 30 years, which we find out through this whole interaction. But the kid at the door, his name is Eli Bradley, who in the comics, later on becomes Patriot of the Young Avengers.
Oh, okay.
So
That okay. That's a cool touch.
I would love to see that carry through. But they're leaving these openings, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen Torres, who in the comics becomes the new Falcon, and through Power Broker, and and Patriot, who gets his way into the Young Avengers by convincing people that he got the super soldier serum in his bloodline through his grandfather, through being born and whatnot. And in the comics, does not have any super soldier serum. He just trains well enough to fool people.
Right. But this also gives us Wiccan and Speed from the
Yep.
from a show.
Yep.
It gives us Patriot from a show.
Yep.
Miss Marvel is getting her own show.
Right.
So we're just missing that one, and that's another show. That's Hawkeye.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we have the entire Young Avengers available.
And then Falcon if you want him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well, and what's also interesting is we've also got this next generation of adults as well. With
Right.
Monica Rambeau. Frankly, I think Scarlet Witch is going to end up stepping up even more. That second generation Avengers, I think will step up, just like in the comics. Like there's always a new roster, right? So
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that. So
Well, what was the line from Deadpool 2? I need um a a bunch of young folks that can carry this franchise for another 10 years.
right. So they get in. Bucky basically says, "Tell him the guy from the bar in Goyang is here." And what was interesting was it didn't occur to me initially that they met, but Bucky was working for Hydra at that point,
Yeah.
and so they were enemies at that point.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at first either when he mentions the bar. I thought he just, met him at the bar.
Right. They were both serving, and they met at the bar or something, or maybe Bucky wasn't serving, but yeah, they met. So, so there, Isaiah's clearly pissed off, and basically Isaiah throws a box across the room, which lets you know, oh yeah, he's a super too.
He's got power.
Yeah, because it embeds in his in his wall. He spent 30 years in jail. They ran tests and took blood, studying him and everything. He got the raw end, like hardcore.
Yeah, completely. And he's definitely mean, angry and bitter about it, which is absolutely understandable and completely expected. And like,
Right.
really, you gave us this, and this is what happens. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is Carl Lumbly, who plays Isaiah, and I really want this not to be the only time we see him.
I hope not, because I love that actor. He's so good.
I would love to see him just in some final fight or something, just come out and clean somebody's clock and just, okay, he's done.
Still got it.
All right, so we go outside after the interaction. Sam is pissed off. He's like, "Why didn't Steve tell me about this? Why didn't anybody tell me about this?" And Bucky's like, "Steve didn't know, because Steve was on ice." Nobody knew he didn't know at that point. And Sam is yelling at Bucky in the street, trying to get information, and up come the cops.
Well, so we did get the part when they're talking to Isaiah. We did get a little bit of explanation, like how they actually met, because he didn't meet Bucky.
Oh,
Winter
that's true.
Soldier got sent to take him out.
Yes, that's true.
Because it was in he said in Korea.
Korea in 51. 51. Yeah.
51.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a nice little touch. It just shows, Winter Soldier was active for a long, long time. Because when they mentioned him in the movie the first time, he's the boogeyman.
Right.
Yeah. So we kind of get of like, yeah, they're not friends. They met once because Bucky was sent to kill him. So this is not a friendly encounter.
Right. That's true. So yeah, so after the interaction in the street, the cops pull up, and the cops pull up in the asking for ID from Sam. Is this man bothering you? Clearly a nod to things that have been happening around here recently with how the cops treat black people.
My first thought as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, you should know better." Like this is
Yeah,
not this is not yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, so what's funny is one of the criticisms I heard from one of our friends online was that he thought the cops weren't portrayed the correct way because they're much worse than that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
they
that
they
I can
they
believe.
they would have grabbed Sam up, put him in cuffs before he had a chance to know, before they had a chance to know who he was. So,
Right.
um, so
But it's
we
Disney.
yeah, it's Disney. So they go through that clearly, uh, and one of the cops is like, "Oh, these guys are Avengers." Oh, sorry, didn't recognize you without the goggles. Okay, yeah, whatever. Um, but in a twist, Bucky gets arrested
Yeah.
because he missed his court mandated therapy.
Oh,
And
it's so
even
good, right? It's just
yeah,
like
even though
let's arrest that guy.
he's pardoned, but I guess a condition of his pardon was that he had to go to therapy. So okay, cool. And we go back to jail. The therapist is there, and Amy Aquino is her name. She plays Dr. Raynor, and she's awesome. I love her attitude. She's just like a no shit therapist, and she gets there, and Cap gets Bucky released, and basically says, "Yeah, you don't have to do this anymore. I've straightened it all out. You're good. We don't have to. You're not going to get caught up in this anymore."
Yeah, the reason I like her because the no shit taking because she's been through it. She's not just
Right,
some shrink that they pulled in to work with soldiers. She's an ex-soldier. She went through all this shit. She's seen it, so
right.
she knows what's going on. But this whole scene of them having a quick session
Yeah,
uh
yeah. So
just
that was
kind of
awesome.
shows how screwed up they both are.
Well, what was funny is like Dr. Raynor says, "All right, look, release session now. You too, Sam." And Sam's like going, "No, I'm good." And she's going,
Okay.
"That wasn't a request." So they get there, and they look. They enter couples therapy. Is really what it
Yeah,
was. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it's
all
a
it
hundred
was.
percent couples therapy.
And uh, she asked them a question, the miracle question. It doesn't work. Nobody, they're not having it. They basically, my miracle is if for the other person to shut up. Okay, so stop. Okay, fine. We're gonna go to soul
Soul
gazing.
gazing. Oh god,
Yeah,
these two are children.
yep,
These Bucky is 106 years old. He's a big kid
yep, yep. And
with a
what's
metal arm.
they argue about where their knees go, and then Sam locks them in, knees intertwined, and she goes, "Okay, look your partner in the face or in the eyes," and then they have a staring contest to see who
Because
blinks
they're
first.
children.
Right? And she's like, "Are you having a staring contest?" And she snaps and says, "Stop it, blink."
Because she's the mom in this situation.
Right.
This is not couples therapy. These are two siblings, and she's the mom.
Yeah, it's awesome, and her treatment of it was amazing. She's just like going, "Jesus, stop, just okay, just come on." All right, so but I will say I love this scene, and it wasn't because of the comedy, because that was funny too, but we finally get to it because they've been dancing around it, which is Bucky saying, "Why'd you give up the shield?" And Sam's like, "Why do you care?" And the whole thing is Steve believed in you. You threw it away like it was nothing. And if he was wrong about you, then maybe he was wrong about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that choked me up when he said that. And Sam was just like going, "Look, you guys need to understand I did what I thought was right." and they still don't agree, but they understand each other better, right? And so then they basically say, okay, fine, let's do this job and then go our separate ways, which is Marvel speak for they're going to be tied together for life.
Yeah.
Because by the end of this they have to be together. Is the way I view that. But
Do we know how many episodes the show's getting altogether?
I'll have to check. I thought it was 9,
Okay.
but
IMDb has only 6 listed so far.
oh, maybe it's only 6 then.
I hope it's more.
Hmm.
But they are also supposed to be season series, not a single season,
Right.
but multiples.
Right.
So they might just do here's a six episode arc, and then come back next year and do another 6. But
So yeah.
if they're only 6, we're getting Loki really soon.
Well, we're getting what the between this
Oh, is
and
what
Loki.
this supposed to be before? Okay.
I think so. Um, so anyhow, because we're finally getting towards the end. Basically, they say let's do this. We'll just do the job, go our separate ways. Sam walks out. Bucky walks out a little bit later, and they leave. And Cap and Battlestar are sitting there waiting. And Cap says, "Hey, we need to work together." And Sam and Bucky are like,
so he gets his attention like the douche that he is
with
by
the siren.
by blaring the siren for a second to get him to look over instead of like, hey, over here, instead of just calling for them.
Right.
He has to be the dude bro that hits the siren button.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he says, "Hey, look, it's better if we work together than separate." And Sam and Bucky are like, "No." Sam says, "We're free agents. It wouldn't make sense."
Which
And
actually makes perfect sense, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because the other two are straight up military. They have to be, by the book and everything.
Right.
These guys can kind of just, kind of do their own thing to a certain degree.
Right. And in another move for foreshadowing, Cap says, "Fine, stay out of my way."
And the look on his face, and you're just like, can I punch him now? I just want to punch him in the
Right.
nose.
Right. So
Into the weak chin.
Yeah. It's so we go back. So now the scene changes again to Bratislava, Slovakia, and the Flag Smashers are moving boxes into a plane, and they're clearly running from somebody. And one of them says, "They found us. It's the Power Broker's men." And they finally mention the Power Broker by name, so we get acknowledgement. And then one of them says, "You guys go. I'll hold them off," and definitely sacrifices himself so that the Flag Smashers can get away. I love this because it's not just good guys, bad guys. It's kind of like the in between. Kind of it's a kind of a gray area.
Yeah.
We Nico is mentioned by name. Lennox are mentioned by name. I don't know who they are yet. And we see the dude fall, and the Power Brokers dude go, "Yeah, they got away." Sam and Bucky. We switch back to Sam and Bucky, and they're talking, and Bucky's going, "Yeah, I know who we got to see." And Sam tries to talk him out of it, and then acquiesces. He goes, "Yeah, we're going to go see Zemo." And we close in on Zemo in a cell. Roll credits.
Yeah.
We knew Zemo was coming. So I guess we can get to speculation, right? Because there was nothing new in the credits from an Easter egg standpoint. It was all the same stuff. The thing I wonder is going to prison to talk to Zemo is one thing. We've seen Zemo in the wild with the hood.
Right. So we know he gets out somehow.
Right.
The shot that they do of Zemo is that you got the chessboard there, so he's definitely interacting with somebody, and they're playing Mozart's Requiem. And not only are they playing Mozart's Requiem, they playing Rex's. So they playing the King section,
Yep.
which is like the biggest section of the entire Requiem.
Right.
Probably the most well known. And I don't remember the title. It's Rex something. So it's King something. So they're putting him as the king here,
Yeah.
and you get the shot of the board, and I think you get a shot of the king on the board, not just anything.
Right. Yeah. It's they're certainly setting him up. So the question is, I'm of two minds about this. Does Zemo get out because Sam and Bucky break him out, or does Zemo get out because Sam and Bucky go to Cap and Cap pulls strings and gets him out?
Oh, or maybe he has the tie-ins with the power broker to get him out. Or
That's true. I mean, it could be something. Zemo finally says something to the effect of, "Okay, well now I have a reason to leave," and just
yeah,
and just leaves. Um,
because he's set up. He's not set up as a super powered character in Civil War, but
right,
he's a really good at manipulation and strategy and everything else. So
right,
I'm sure he's got his little strings going. So we could just be like, oh, they're finally here. Okay, great. Okay, let's pull this string and let everything go. And this is how he gets out.
exactly, exactly. So
I do like that this is a villain from a movie that they didn't kill,
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's one of the things that I did not like about Age of Ultron.
You know, it's funny. I always view these comic book movie deaths as non-permanent because in the comics, people die all the time.
Usually it's if you don't see the body, they're not really dead.
Yeah, I suppose that's
Like
mostly.
Killmonger, I don't think they're bringing Killmonger back. Uh, and I highly doubt they'll ever bring Ultron back.
Ultron, I'm not sure I buy that. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're not
They
done
might do it.
through Vision.
Maybe.
So, um, so yeah. Any other spec? So let me ask you this: what did you think of the episode overall?
Oh, I thought it was a blast. I thought it did a great job setting up Cap um, as a great face for the public, but we're gonna get to see everything else about him. That he's you know not the king, the hero that you're looking for.
Right.
The thing from Captain America, the first movie, was that the serum wasn't, you got superpowers, now you're amazing. It brought out the good, the best things about you or the worst things about you. That's why the doc picked uh Cap to begin with.
Yep.
So while Walker doesn't have the super soldier serum, even the new super soldier serum wouldn't do that probably anyway. It's the same thing. The shield is what's going to bring it out.
Did I mention the Walker power broker thing
I
earlier?
don't know.
So in the comics, John Walker got super soldier powers from the power broker.
Right, I think you did mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if we'll go down that whole road. So before the series even started, before we decided to do this podcast, my thought always was that Falcon and the Winter Soldier was going to turn into Captain America and Bucky. I think by the and it could be season 2, but I
Hope not. I mean, the
well,
previews for this one, and the previous could be completely hoax,
right.
but like we had shots in the previews of Sam practicing with the shield, trying to figure out how to throw it, stuff like that. So I'm hoping that's coming.
Yeah, so I mean, and no, what I meant by that was I meant Falcon being Captain America, Winter Soldier being Bucky,
Oh, like full on
like
into
full
their
on.
roles. Okay,
Yeah,
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 that
yeah.
that could be season two.
My initial thought was that this was going to be an evolution into those roles,
Yeah, that'd be
um,
pretty cool.
because in the comics, Falcon did become Captain America.
Yeah,
In the in the comics, Bucky did return to Bucky, and was at one point. So and then the question is, do we see Walker evolve into Nomad?
be interesting.
or not Nomad, U.S. agent, U.S. agent.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Because his
I,
outfit,
I meant what you know.
yeah. His costume is very U.S. agent. I mean,
Right.
it's got the A with the star in the corner, and then the stripes, which is just like the black and red and white uniform that U.S. agent wears. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Also,
Uh,
I really like how they're setting everything up. I did like the little bit when they were walking uh after the fight, and we got the little bit of them talking about Wakanda, and Sam makes a joke about like, oh, you go to Wakanda and suddenly you're the white tiger. He's like, no, it's actually the white wolf,
the White Wolf, right?
and
What?
he's just like, wait, what?
Yep. Yeah. Very nice touches. Okay. Anything else there, Sen?
No, I think that covers the entire show.
Yeah, it really does. And we are going scene by scene and breaking things down quite a bit. And if you out there listening do not like that, please shoot me an email at Kurt@VO by Kurt, and I'd be happy to listen to it, and probably won't change anything, but I'd love to
But
hear
we'll
your
listen to you.
comments. Right. Okay. If you want to follow us, you can go to twitch.tv/VO by Kurt and click follow, and you'll be notified every time we record. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, you can go to anchor.fm/this-week-in-MCU, or just search for This Week in MCU in your podcatchers, and you will find the podcast right there. Sen, where can they find you?
You can find me every morning on twitch.tv/SenRaven for a little bit of Marvel Strike Force streaming, and on the weekends as well, and also on Thursdays when we record the FTH Beyond podcast on from the Helicarrier channel on Twitch.
Great. And I can be found all over the place on the internet. I'm on VO by Kurt on Twitter and on Twitch. I'm on Mondays and Thursdays we do FTH Beyond. On Mondays I'm on VO by Kurt. On Thursdays on From the Helicarrier. And on Thursdays I'm also on Nook's Tavern, an Animal Crossing podcast with Phil Keating. And my solo podcast is Storytime with Kurt. We just started a new book this week. Tom Swift and his Electric Runabout, and it just started distributing on Wednesday, and that's over on anchor.fm/storytime with Kurt, or wherever you find your podcatchers. And with that, we will see you guys next week, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on twitch.tv/VO by Kurt. Have a good week.
Don't hit me with a shield.
Okay, I'm stopping recording, and He Who Is Steve was in there, Emily was in there, Stealth King 500 was in there, Silly Gnome 225. Welcome, folks. I think we are also going to. I think I'm gonna throw this over to Emily because I think her show has started. So let me double check here. Yeah, good episode. I'll get this edited and put it right back up there. She is going. So I'm gonna raid Emily. If I can use the keyboard. Hope I spelled that right. There we go. All right, cool, man. Yeah, I thought that went well. So we'll see you next week, I suppose. Actually, I'll see you before then.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, have a good one. Have a good show this morning. All right,
take it
see
easy.
ya.